जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते ताप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानु सुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशकारिणे। जय जय श्री चैतन्य जय नित्यानंद जय अद्वैत चंद्र जय गौर भक्त वृंद। So yesterday we came to know that one name of Srimati Radharani, that she is Krishnamayi. That means she is identical with Krishna. She embodies the mellows of love. And so as Kaviraj Goswami mentioned that Krishnamayi, Mai means which is constituted of Krishna. Her whole existence is just for one reason, is to give pleasure to Krishna. So see, first, who always thinks of Krishna both within and without, who always remembers only Krishna. And since Krishna's personality is full of love, his loving potency Radharani being non-different from him is called Krishnamayi. And why she is so topmost, or she is the supreme most, this was in the next verse where Kaviraj Goswami is saying that Krishna vancha purti rupe kare aradhana. So the word Radha comes from the word aradhana. And what kind of worship she does? Her worship consists of fulfilling the desires of Lord Krishna. Krishna is the one who fulfills the desire of everyone. We all worship Krishna, we pray to Krishna, we serve Krishna. Why? Because Krishna will be kind and he will fulfill our desires, at least the spiritual desires. But who will fulfill the desires of Krishna? That position is with Srimati Radharani. Therefore, Puranas call her Radhika. So what I want to discuss is the verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. We ended up with this verse, but we did not discuss this from Srimad Bhagavatam. We will discuss this today because many times people claim that if Radharani is topmost, why her name is not there in the Srimad Bhagavatam? But our acharyas explain that her name is mentioned definitely in the Bhagavatam. But one does not have the spiritual vision to be able to see the presence of Srimati Radharani in Bhagavatam. And this is the verse which speaks about Srimati Radharani's glories. This verse is verse number 88. Anyo aradhita nunam Bhagavan Haririshwara Janno vihai Govinda Pritoyam Anyadraha. Truly the personality of Godhead has been worshipped by her. So these are the gopis speaking to themselves. This is from the Rasa Dansa arena when Krishna became unmanifest. So Krishna became unmanifest to the gopis, but he took along with him Srimati Radharani. So not only Krishna became unmanifest from Rasa dance, Srimati Radharani was also unmanifest because both of them left. And when the gopis are searching, so they found out that Krishna is missing, and they also found out that Srimati Radharani is also missing. Then they are speaking amongst themselves. This is what they are speaking, that truly the personality of Godhead has been worshipped by her. Therefore, Lord Govinda, being pleased, has brought her to a lonely spot, leaving us all behind. So I will see the purport of this verse. Certainly, this particular gopi, this is the original translation in Srimad Bhagavatam, given by Srila Prabhupada's disciples. So this talks about Srimati Radharani. So Srimad Bhagavatam does not directly mention her name, but indirectly it is mentioned. And where it is mentioned, this is the verse. This is the reference. Certainly, this particular gopi has perfectly worshipped the all-powerful personality of Godhead. So the word is Anya Aradhita Nunam. Anya means other gopi. This is what is mentioned here. This particular gopi has perfectly worshipped who? Bhagavan Hari Ishvara. Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Since he was so pleased with her that he abandoned the rest of us, this is what the gopis are thinking and what they are speaking to each other, and has brought her to a secluded place. So we will read the Acharya's commentary. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti explains the word Aradhita refers to Srimati Radharani. He comments the sage Sukdev Goswami has tried with all endeavors to keep her name hidden. But now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth. That he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy. Whose mercy? Srimati Radharani's mercy. On whom? On Srila Shukdev Goswami. He is called as Shukha Deva. Shukha means the parrot. And the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam is also there. Shukha Mukhat Amrit Davya Samrita. So what is the Shukha Mukhat? If you see the mango, and if the mango is ripe, and if the mango is tasted or is touched by the beak of the parrot, its sweetness increases many times. I don't know if somebody has been fortunate to taste such a mango, which has been tasted first by parrot. Anyone ever had the opportunity of having a mango which has first been eaten by a parrot? But this Srimad Bhagavatam is like the ripened mango. It is the sweet nectar and juice of the mango. And that mango has become even more sweet. Why? Because it has been touched by the beak. It is coming from the lotus mouth of Shukdev Goswami. So he is considered to be parrot. Shukdev Goswami is considered to be parrot. So whose parrot? It is said by the Acharya that Shukdev Goswami is the parrot of Srimati Radharani. And he was so much in strong remembrance and relationship with Srimati Radharani in service, that if he would have uttered the word Rādhā, he would be in ecstasy. And if he would go in ecstasy, then he will not be able to speak Srimad Bhagavatam. So to restrain that ecstasy, not to come to that platform of being in trance where he cannot speak, so he tried to refrain. He tried his level best not to directly mention the name of Srimati Radharani. So here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is mentioning that Shukdev Goswami has tried with all endeavors to keep her name hidden. But now it automatically shines forth from the moon of his mouth that he has spoken her name is indeed her mercy, Srimati Radharani's mercy. And thus the word Aradhita is like the rumbling of the cattle drum, sounded to announce her great good fortune. Rumbling of the cattle drum, you understand? Nagada bajana. You have to announce. So what is to be announced? It is announcing the position of Srimati Radharani. And who is announcing the position of Srimati Radharani? All the other gopis. Although the gopis spoke as if jealous of Srimati Radharani, they were actually ecstatic to see that she has captured Shri Krishna. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti quotes the following detailed descriptions of Srimati Radharani's footprint as given by Srila Rupa Goswami in Sri Ujjwal Neelamani. This is another discussion, that there are footprints or marks on the sole of Srimati Radharani. At the base of her large toe of her left foot is the mark of barley corn. Below the mark is the disc. Below the disc is an umbrella. I remember all this because many years back, by good fortune of Guru Maharaj, I had the opportunity to prepare the footwear of Rādhā Parsarthi, all the altars. So at that time, I did a detailed study from the scriptures and consulted His Grace Jitamit Prabhu that what are the right marks and where is the location. So if you ever happen, any one of you, if you become Brahman initiated, and when you enter the altar, you will see the footwear of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. They have all these marks. All these marks are there on their footwear. Obviously, we cannot put it on their sole, but we have put it on their footwear. All these symbols, all these marks are there on the footwear. So these are the marks on the sole of Srimati Radharani, which Srila Rupa Goswami is mentioning in Ujjwal Neelamani. A vertical line extends from the middle of her lower foot to the juncture of her large and second toe. And at the base of the middle toe is a lotus. Below that is the flag with a banner. And below the flag is a creeper together with a flower. At the base of her small toe is an elephant board. And upon her heel is a half moon. So there are 11 marks on her left foot. This is only on the left foot. And then Srila Rupa Goswami talks about the right foot. It has, each mark has specific, importance. At the base of her last toe of her right foot is a conch shell, and below that is the spear. And at the base of the small toe of her right foot is a sacrificial altar. Below that, an earring. And below the earring, a club. Along the base of the second, third, fourth, and small toe is the mark of a mountain, below which is the chariot. On the heel is a fish. Thus, altogether, there are 19 distinguishing marks on the sole of Srimati Radharani's lotus feet. So 11 were there on the left, so 8 are there on the right. So we'll come back to the verse. So Srimad Bhagavatam also mentions about Srimati Radharani that she is the Anya Radhita Nunam. There is no one whose worship is as, worship of Srimati Radharani. So her position is topmost. So now going forward to today's verse. Atev Sarva Pujya Param Devata Sarva Palika Sarva Jagate Ramata. Therefore, Radha is Param Devata. She is Supreme Goddess and she is worshipable by everyone. Why? Because her worship is the highest for Krishna. What is the highest form of her worship? Anya Radhita Nunam Bhagavan Hari Ishvara Yanno Vihaya Govinda. What is her worship? Why her worship is the highest form of worship? Please share what is the understanding. Devadatta has joined, I think, after almost a month. First day in this September month.
Yes, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Boliye Ramya.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Yes, there she is.
Prabhuji, she worships the Lord as the Lord desires.
Yeah. She worships the Lord in a way to fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord. Just, give it a thought, a deliberation. Her worship is such glorious that her worship is to fulfill the desires of the Supreme Lord. What is the desire of the Supreme Lord? So far, what we have understood. What is the desire of Krishna? बोलिए. Yes, Ravindra Prabhu.
Prabhuji, loving exchange.
Yes. Anyo anna vilasa rasa. Aswadane kari. It is there. Everything is Acharyas have given. So Radha Krishna Eka Atma Dui Dehadhari. And what is the purpose? Anyo anya vilasa rasa. Prema aswadite. Aswadana kari. Okay. Thank you. Therefore, Radha is Prema Devta, the supreme goddess, and she is worshipable for everyone. She is the protectress of all. This is very important. Sarva Palika. She is Sarva Palika. She is the protectress of all. Protectress of it, she gives protection. Of what? Of one's devotional desire and devotional service. And also she is Sarv Jagatera Mata. And she is the mother of the entire universe. Sarva Lakshmi Shabda Purve Kariyache Vyakhyana. Sarva Lakshmi Ganera Tiho Onadhishtan. I have already explained the meaning of Sarva Lakshmi. Radha is the original source of all the goddesses of fortune. This we discussed yesterday and day before also. That how she is the source, she is the foundation from where all the goddesses of fortune, all the Lakshmis emanate. Kimva Sarva Lakshmi Krishnera Shada Vida Aishwarya Tara Adhishtatri Shakti Sarva Shakti Varya. Or Sarva Lakshmi indicates that she fully represents the six opulences of Krishna. Therefore, she is the supreme energy of Lord Krishna. I was wondering, I was just reading the write-up. I'm very pleased to see some write-ups after a long time. Of course, Pradeep Prabhu gave a long write-up, but I also saw write-up of, I was reading the write-up of Ramya Mataji. So she has read further. She was saying that, she was mentioning in her write-up, I will post it. And I think Devdatta has also written the write-up. Devdatta, you have also said?
Yes, Prabhuji.
That means you have heard the class. Then only
Yesterday's class, yesterday's I heard.
So my dear, if you are hearing the class in your sadhana card, why you are not mentioning that hearing? Why the sadhana card comes to me? Hearing 0, reading 0. And we say this is sadhana.
Yesterday only I joined, Prabhuji. Before that I didn't join. That's why.
Devotees send me sadhana card with reading and hearing 0. This is sadhana. Anyway, but that should not continue. For 1 or 2 days it might happen. But it should not be a regular feature. So here she is identical. Why? Because she fully represents the 6 opulences of Krishna. Ramya Mataji has mentioned that. So therefore she is the supreme energy of Lord Krishna. Sarva Saundarya Kanti Vaisay Yahate Sarva Lakshmi Ganera Shobha Hoy Yaha Hoite. The word Sarva Kanti indicates that all beauty and luster rest in her body. And all the Lakshmis derive their beauty from her. These are the details. That how she is so glorious. Prabhupada used to say, Prabhupada has a very formidable statement. You know, Prabhupada says, people say God is great. People say God is great. But if you ask them, they do not know the greatness of God. So what is the meaning of this statement, God is great? What are the details? how is he great or what is his greatness. So that topmost position of Srimati Radharani is detailed here in Chaitanya-Caritāmṛta. How she is topmost, how she is above all. So all those details Srila Kaviraj Goswami is mentioning, that all the Lakshmis derive their beauty from her. Kimva kanti shabde Krishnera sabe ichha kahe, Krishnera sakal vancha radhite rahe. Kanti may also means all the desires of Lord Krishna. All the desires of Lord Krishna rest in Srimati Radharani. See her glorious position. Krishna has the best resting place of desire, where the heart of Srimati Radharani. Radhika karena Krishna vanchita purana sarvakanti shabderai artha vivarana. Srimati Radhika fulfills all the desires of Lord Krishna. This is the meaning of sarvakanti. Jagat mohan Krishna tahara mohini ateva samastrera para thakurani. Lord Krishna enchants the world. Krishna is all attractive. Krishna attracts everyone. But Srimati Radharani enchants even him. That is why her name is, we discussed, Mohini. Whom she enchants Krishna. So she is known as Madan Mohini. Rādhā Madan Mohini. Srimati Radharani is the captivator of one who captivates the entire world. So she is Rādhā Madan Mohini. Shri Radha enchants even him. Therefore, she is the supreme goddess of all. Radha Purna Shakti Krishna Purna Shakti Man Dui Vastu Vedanahi Shastrera Praman. So now he is proving that how Shri Radha is the full power and Lord Krishna is the possessor of full power. The two are non-different as evidenced by the revealed scriptures, and so many evidences Kaviraj Goswami is himself here presenting. And very beautiful analogy he gives, how to understand the oneness. Mrigamada tare gandha yaiche avicheda agni jwalete yaiche kabuna hi veda. So he gives an analogy. You understand an example how to understand the oneness of Radha and Krishna. He says, Mrigamada tare gandhe. Mrigamada is the musk deer. So what is the importance of the musk deer? Is the fragrance of the musk which is inside the deer. So Kaviraj Goswami is mentioning, indeed they are the same. Who? Radha and Krishna. How? Just as the musk and its scents. So the musk deer and the fragrance or the flavor of the musk, can it be separated? No. So they are inseparable. And he gives a second analogy. Agni jwalete yaiche. Jwala means the heat or the fire which comes from heat and light which comes from fire. So whereas fire and its heat are non-different. So this is one practical way of understanding that how they are one. But they are not only one, but they are different also. Radha Krishna aiche sada eka hi swarupa lila rasa aswadite dhare dui rupa. So again and again Kaviraj Goswami is emphasizing on how they are one, but they have manifested differently. Thus Radha and Krishna are one, yet they have taken two forms to enjoy the mellows of pastime. Lila rasa aswadite dhare dui rupa. Prema bhakti shikhai te apane avatari Radha bhava kanti dui angikari. Śrī Krishna Caitanya Rupa Kaila Avatar Eta Panchama Shloke Rādhā Prachar. to promulgate Prema Bhakti devotional service in love of Godhead, Krishna appeared as Śrī Krishna Caitanya with the mood and complexion of Srimati Radharani. Rādhā bhav, bhav means the mood or the emotion or the sentiment or the feelings. Now, what are the emotion? What are the sentiment? What are the feelings? Srimati Radhe is unlimited love for Krishna. So, with that bhav, that mood, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is appearing. Rādhā bhav. And what he has? Kanti also. He has not only taken the mood, but he has also taken the complexion. Kanti, the complexion. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared. Krishna appeared as Śrī Krishna Caitanya with the mood and complexion of Śrī Rādhā. Thus, I have explained the meaning of the 5th verse. This is the first 5 verses of Caitanya-Caritāmṛta. Caitanya-Caritāmṛta is a very, very unique literature. In the first 12 chapters, I have discussed that many times, I have spoken about it. The first 12 chapters of Ādi-līlā, Kaviraj Goswami is establishing the supreme position of Lord Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. If you remember when we started this discourse, so Kaviraj Goswami is saying, first I will explain the Rādhā Tattva and the Krishna Tattva, so that one can be able to understand what is the position of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is what? He is 2 in 1. But to be able to understand that what is the Rādhā Bhav, so much description of Srimati Radharani is given here in this chapter, which is actually the glories of Srimati Radharani. To be able to know the right mood of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. We explain the 6th verse. I shall first give the hint of its meaning. So now he's explaining the 6th verse. Avatari Prabhu Pracharile Sankirtana Eho Bhai Hetu Purva Kariyache Suchanana Suchana Ate Prabhu Pracharile Sankirtana. The Lord came to propagate Sankirtan. Eho Bhai Hetu. Bhai means external. So this was the external reason. This is an external purpose, as I have already indicated. So the 3rd chapter, we are discussing the 4th chapter of Ādi-līlā, which talks about the confidential reason or the inner reasons of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advent. What was the reason? Is to experience that love of Srimati Radha. Rādhā bhav duti suvadikam. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wants to taste that mellow Srimati Radharani is experiencing. Rādhā pranay vritti. So he has come in this form. And that is the real reason. But the external reason that the world knows is that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to establish the Yuga Dharma. The Lord came to propagate Sankirtan, but that is an external purpose, as I have already indicated. Avatarera era eka aiche mukhya bija rasika shakhyara krishne se karya nija. But what is the internal purpose of the real purpose? Kaviraj Goswami is explaining. There is a principal cause for Lord Krishna's appearance. It grows from his own engagements as the foremost enjoyer of loving exchange. What is Krishna's quality? He is Rasika Shekhara. Rasika Shekhar Prabhupada translates as the foremost enjoyers of the mellows of love. But to fulfill this desire of Krishna, what? As Rasika Shekhar, Srimati Radharani fulfills this desire of Krishna. Ati gandha hetu se trividhe prakar damodara swarup hoite yahara pracha. The most confidential cause is threefold. Sarup Damodar has revealed it. Many times we have discussed the 3 reasons for appearance of Srimati Radharani. Oh, sorry, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Swarupera Gosai Prabhur Ati Antaranga Tahate Janena Prabhu Reisa Prasanga. Swarup Goswami is the most intimate associate of Lord. He therefore knows all these topics well. Who is Swarup Goswami in Krishna Lila? How he knows, which no one else knows. Kaviraj Goswami is saying, he is not saying that I also know. He says, no, I don't know. It is only Swarup Goswami who knows, and through him I know. This is called the Parampara system. Yes, Sonika?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Lalita Sakhi.
Yes. It's Lalita Sakhi. Most intimate associate of Srimati Radharani. All services to Srimati Radharani is done under the supervision of Lalita Sakhi. And one of the chief associates of Srimati Lalita Sakhi is Rupa Manjari, that is Srila Rupa Goswami. So Srila Rupa Goswami also serves Radharani under the supervision of Lalita Sakhi. So you see this is Parampara. We saw the quotation of Anna Radhita Nunam coming from Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. And what Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is quoting? He is quoting Ujjwal Neelamani. And who is giving Ujjwal Neelamani? Is Srila Rupa Goswami. Ei nivedana karo, sakhir anugata karo. Seva adhikar diye karo nijadasi. This is a very important principle. How do we engage in devotional service? There is no possibility of any service which is without parampara. So it is anugat. Srila Rupa Goswami is also serving under the anugatya of Lalita Devi. So here Kaviraj Goswami is quoting Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami that these three confidential reasons, he is not claiming that I know. He is saying it is known to the most intimate associate of Lord Chaitanya, which is Swarup Goswami. He therefore knows all these topics well. Prior to Lord acceptance of the renounced order, Purushottam Bhattacharya, resident of Navdeep, desired to enter the renounced order of life. So this is description about Srila Swarup Damodar Goswami. So his previous name in Chaitanya Leela was Purushottam Bhattacharya. He was also a resident of Navdeep. And before Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he took sannyas. Therefore, he left home and went to Banaras, where he accepted the position of Brahmacharya from a Mayavadi sannyasi. When he became a Brahmachari, he was given the name sannyasi actually. Damodar Swarup. He left Banaras shortly thereafter without taking sannyas, and he came to Nilachal, Jagannath Puri, where Lord Chaitanya was staying. He met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there and dedicated his life for the service of the Lord. He became Lord Chaitanya's secretary and constant companion. He used to enhance the pleasure potency of the Lord by singing appropriate songs. This is what the same, to enhance the mood of Srimati Radharani. What Lalita Devi does, the same service was done by Swarup Damodar Goswami. How? By reciting those songs. Anyone knows who are these songs? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to hear from the lotus lips of Swarup Damodar Goswami. Which song, which compositions? We have discussed that. None of you remember. Srila Jayadev Goswami's Geet Govind. And Geet Govind cannot be accessed by anyone else. When Bhakti-Siddhanta Thakur wanted to print Geet Govind, Bhakti Vinod Thakur said that you can print only 2 copies. No more, only 2 copies. Why 2 copies? One for Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur and second for Bhakti-Siddhanta Thakur. He said no one third is qualified. And Chandidas. Chandidas is also one great, Why? Because Rasika Shekharan. It talks about the mellows of the exchange of love of the gopis, and foremost gopi is Srimati Radharani's loving exchange with Krishna. He became Lord Chaitanya's secretary and constant companion. He used to enhance the pleasure potency of the Lord by singing appropriate songs, which were very much appreciated. Sarup Damodar could understand the secret mission of Lord Chaitanya. He understood. That is why Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu's chief associate is Sarup Damodar Goswami. And Sarup Damodar Goswami's chief disciple is Śrī Rupa Goswami, Rupa Manjari, who is doing service under the supervision of Sarup Damodar Goswami. So our Tarisa Śrī Caitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutalehu Śrī Rupa Goswami. So how did he know the inner meaning of what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mood is? Because he was serving under the supervision of Śrīla Sarup Damodar Goswami. That is how the parampara is going. This is what I am trying to speak and emphasize. So he used to be with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his last 18 years of seclusion in Jagannath Puri. Mainly two of the companions. There is Sarup Damodar Goswami, who is Lalita's Sakhi, and Srila Ramanand Roy, who is Vishakha Sakhi. And of course, there was Shikhi Mahiti also and Madhavi Devi. But prominently these two personalities. Sarup Damodar could understand the secret mission of Lord Chaitanya, and it was by his grace only that all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya could know the real purpose of the Lord. Sarup Damodar has been identified as Lalita Devi, the second expansion of Radharani. So this is another secret. You remember, we discussed that there are three principal expansions of Srimati Radharani. One in the form of goddess of fortunes, second in the form of queens of Dwarika, and third in the form of the gopis in Braja. However, text 160 of Kavi Karnapur's authoritative Gaur Gonadesh Deepika describes Sarup Damodar as the same Vishakha Devi who serves Lord in Golok Vrindavan. Therefore, it is understood that Sri Sarup Damodar is a direct expansion of Radharani who helps the Lord experience. So see, when Sarup Damodar Goswami is manifesting, that is Lalita Devi manifesting as Sarup Damodar Goswami, so there is an avesh. There is also an extension of Vishakha Devi also. And similarly in Ramanand Rai also, that is Vishakha Devi, there is an extension of Lalita Devi also. This is inconceivable. So here Prabhupada is mentioning that Gaur Gonadesh Deepika is that scripture which talks about the Swarupas of the different personalities who were previously in Krishna Lila and how they have manifested in Gaura Lila. So he says that Sarup Damodar is the same as Vishakha Devi because there is some avesh of Vishakha Devi also when Lalita Devi is manifesting as Sarup Damodar Goswami, who serves the Lord in Golok Vrindavan. Therefore, it is to be understood that Sri Sarup Damodar is the direct expansion of Radharani, who helps the Lord experience the attitude of Radha. So he helps. Radhikare bhava murti prabhurantara se bhava sukha dukkha uthe nirantara. The heart of Lord Chaitanya is the image of Sri Radhika's emotions. Radhikara bhava murti. Thus, feelings of pleasure and pain arise constantly therein. Lord Chaitanya's heart was full of the feelings of Srimati Radharani, and his appearance could resemble hers. Sarup Damodar has explained his attitude as Radha Bhav Murti, the attitude of Radharani. One who engages in sense gratification on the material platform can hardly understand Radha. But one who is freed from the demands of sense gratification can understand it. Radha Bhav must be understood from the Goswamis, those who are actually controllers of the senses. From such authorized source, it is to be known that the attitude of Srimati Radharani is the highest perfection of conjugal love. That's Madhurya Ras, which is the highest of the 5 transcendental mellows. From Dasya, Sakhya, then Dasya, Sakhya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. What to speak of Shanta? Shanta is nowhere in this category. So it is the complete perfection of love of Krishna. These transcendental affairs can be understood on 2 platforms. Prabhupada is giving the qualification. That is why we never discuss what is Radha Bhav. When one is called elevated and the other is called super elevated. The loving affairs exhibited in Dwarka are the elevated form. And the super elevated position is reached in the manifestations of the pastimes of Vrindavan. The attitude of Lord Chaitanya is certainly super elevated. From the life of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu, an intelligent person engaged in pure devotional service can understand that he always felt separation from Krishna within himself. In that separation, he sometimes felt that he had found Krishna and he was enjoying the meeting. So this is the very highest form of Vipralambha, the ecstatic feeling of separations. And in that separation, there is the feeling of union. The significance of this separation and meeting is very specific. If someone tries to understand the exalted position of Lord Chaitanya without knowing this, he is sure to misunderstand it. One must first become fully self-realized. Otherwise, one may misidentify the Lord as Nagara or the enjoyers of the damsels of Radha. This is what people speak and talk loose about Krishna, that he was enjoying the gopis. Prabhupada is saying that unless and until that elevated stage or super elevated stage, or at least the self-realized stage has come, one can never understand the dealing between Krishna and the gopis. And what he will do, and thus committing the mistake of rasa bhas or overlapping understanding. Śrī Prabhur Krishna Viraha Unmad Brahmamai Cheshta or Pralapamayavad. So these are the aesthetic emotions or feelings of very intense separations. In the final portion of his pastime, Lord Chaitanya was obsessed with the madness of separation from Lord Krishna. It was the very highest pinnacle. It is called Unmad, madness. He acted in erroneous ways and talked deliriously. Lord Chaitanya exhibited the highest stage of the feelings of a devotee in separation from the Lord. This exhibition was sublime because he was completely perfect in the feelings of separation. Materialists, however, cannot understand this. Sometimes materialist scholars think that he was diseased or crazy. Who? Lord Chaitanya. Their problem is that they are always engaged in material sense gratification and can never understand the feelings of the devotees and the Lord. Materialists are more abominable in their ideas. They think that they can enjoy directly perceivable gross objects by their senses, and they can similarly deal with the transcendental features of Lord Chaitanya. But the Lord is understood only in pursuance of the principle laid down by the Goswamis. So from where we are studying? We are studying from Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. What is he? Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. We know the six principal Goswamis. Vande Roop Sanatano, Raghu Yugo, Shri Jiva, Gopalapo. They are six Manjaris. And the other two principal Manjaris, there are, like we have Aṣṭa-sakhis, there are Aṣṭa Manjaris. Anyone knows who are the other two Manjaris? Who are the other two Manjaris? Six we know is the six Goswamis. Who are the other two? There, Srila Prabhu. I have mentioned it. I have mentioned it in some of the tours of Vrindavan. One of them is Kaviraj Goswami. He's Kasturi Manjari. And who is the next? Who is the other one? Ramya, you remember?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I'm not able to.
That is Lokanath Goswami. Srila Lokanath Goswami. Manju-līlā. Manjari. So these are the 8 principal Manjaris. Spearheaded by Srila Rupa Goswami. So here Prabhupada is mentioning that we can only understand to some extent is in the pursuance of the principles laid down by the Goswamis. Headed by Swarup Damodar. See again, Prabhupada is giving the parampara. Swarup Damodar. So see, even Rupa Goswami is under the supervision of Srila Swarup Damodar. Doctrines like those of the Nadiya Nagaris, a class of so-called devotees, are never presented by authorized persons like Swarup Damodar or the 6 Goswamis. The idea of the Gauranga Nagaris are simply, so these are all Sahajiyas. So there are many Sahajiyas, and among the Sahajiyas are these Gauranga Nagaris, are simply a mental concoction, and they are completely on the mental platform. Radhikara bhav yaiche udhava darshane se bhava matta prabhu rahe ratri dine. So this is very highly, manifestation of feelings of separation. Just as Radhika went mad at the sight of Uddhav, so Lord Chaitanya was obsessed day and night with the madness of separation. So those under the shelter of the lotus feet of Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu can understand that his mode of worship of the Supreme Lord Krishna in separation is the real worship of the Lord. As I said, this is called the Vipralamba Bhav. That is the highest. When the feeling of separation becomes very intense, one attains the stage of meeting Shri Krishna. So this is inconceivable. Union in separation. So-called devotees like these Sahajiyas cheaply imagine that they are meeting Krishna in Vrindavan. Such thinking may be useful, but actually meeting Krishna is possible through the attitude of separation taught by Śrī Caitanya Mahaprabhu. So these various moods of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu who is exhibiting this. So Kaviraj Goswami is saying to realize these pastimes is not necessary now. Later I shall discuss this. So I will stop here because it is far too high for us to either understand or appreciate. But to some extent, by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, we got a glimpse, just a little bit of glimpse. Who is Srimati Radharani? Actually, to some extent, we got some understanding that who is Srimati Radharani and why her position is the topmost. Why she is worshipped by everyone, including Lord Shri Krishna. Hare Krishna. I'll stop here. If someone has any question or something to share, please speak. And my request is, please do not read individually. Please do not try to read all these portions. Don't think that we can understand. This is another immature approach. Because it was Srimati Radharani's appearance, so I took this section. Otherwise, I don't discuss all this. I feel at least myself and nowhere near to be able to speak all this. Yes, Sonika.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, you told that we should not read these verses, but can we revise whatever you have covered, Prabhuji,
Yes,
again and
yes,
again?
that we can do. That we can do. You see, we don't have the adhikar because Prabhupada is giving the qualification. One has to be elevated, super elevated, and then he's saying has to be one somehow at least self-realized. So if someone is at that level, then he can read. Because by reading what we will do, we will start doing speculation. And that is disastrous. Okay, so my request is we should not venture into those areas, which areas we do not have the adhikar. Otherwise, we'll commit aparadh. And if we commit aparadh, then what is the strength of our bhakti kripa? It is very tender. So don't crush it. Do you agree?
Ji, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.